Everybody, my name is David. Thank you for joining me. Today is the Monday Q&As. I do this every single Monday where I'm answering your guys' questions. What I'm doing is answering questions from the last Q&A, and if you have any questions today, go down below into the comment section and ask me anything you want, and I will answer them next week in the next Q&As. Let's get started right away with the next question, which is from Nikki in Colorado. Hello, Nikki. I have a protection order on my ex-husband and a no-contact order for my children pending a psychological evaluation. After a year, he wants to reestablish visitation. Why now? And then you said you began a law degree to help your family, but changed the program into something more interesting. Now you're thinking about going back to attain a law degree to become a lawyer to help you and your family. That's quite the commitment to this. You asked me what you should do. Well, I think you should stick with the program that you find more interesting. Yeah, I don't think going to school and choosing your whole career just to defend yourself against this abuser in your family. I would try to find some other way to do that and pursue your own career for what you want to do, what's interesting to you, for sure, Nikki. And I'm sorry, this is awful. So your question is why now? Why after months he didn't care and now he does? Well, how would I know, Nikki? Maybe he changed his mind. Maybe he really does care now. I don't know, and I'm not even gonna try to suggest that really. And for somebody that has a protection order against them and a no contact order for their children, those things aren't rewarded easily by courts anywhere in any state in this country. So he did something bad, So why now? Why would someone who doesn't care about their child or children want to come back and care about it? It could be all I could do is just come up with possibilities. Okay, things like maybe he really is coming back for you. Maybe he's coming back for money. Maybe he's coming back just for attention from you. Maybe he's determined to be a good father as far as the status of I'm a good father. Not really be a good father, but to be called a good father, I need them in my life. I need some kind of contact with them. You know what I mean? There's a difference. There's a difference between I call myself a good father and I am a good father. And they can both look the same on the outside, right? So maybe something like that, Nikki. If he's a narcissist, he's got the lowest self-esteem and self-worth. So he may be trying to build that up by saying, I'm a good father. I just wouldn't know. I guess that would be a general question maybe you're asking, like why would people do that? And that's all I could do, because I don't know why he would, right, specifically. I don't know him, even if he tells me, who knows. But generally, people like him want to kind of redeem how they look, their ego, right? So a divorce, a failed relationship, anything like that is damaging. It hurts us, doesn't it? It makes us feel like failures. It can make us feel like bad people. Lots of shame. He probably already has a lot of shame. This makes him feel more ashamed of himself. These are reasons why parents will stay away forever and never come back. They feel too ashamed. For him to come back, I don't know. But I wouldn't worry too much. Take this stuff up on the courts, with the courts. I wouldn't make your whole life about this. I don't think you need to, Nikki. I think you should pursue your own interests and career for sure. And I think you should attain a lawyer and get legal advice about this stuff, because you have a lot of legal questions here. You've already got court orders and stuff. So find out what your legal rights are and make sure you know what you want to do. What do you want? Do you want him out of you and your children's lives forever? And a lot of times it's not that damaging when they just want to visit the children. The part I don't like is not so much the actual time together, it's the in and out of the lives. of the children. That's what I don't like. And that, to me, is a good reason to keep a parent out of the child's life, so that it's not every year and a half, every 3 years. Hey, I'm back forever. I love you. And then gone for another 2 years. And that stuff is damaging. That's like just constant reabandonment. Find out what you want. It's time for you to make a decision for you and your children. You're asking me what I should do. I can't make that choice for you. Good luck. Get a lawyer and get a psychiatrist, doctor, therapist, stuff like that to help you. Cognition. We make the best choices with the most information, right? But what's important is how you feel. You need to think about how you feel, and that's what you should do. I wouldn't pursue career for this. Good luck. Irene. I don't know where you're from, Irene. Totally make me smile. You do make me feel better. Lovely. How nice. Thank you very much. That's very nice. Can a narcissist admit how they feel? Which he says is flat. Can a narcissist admit how they feel? Well, sure, they can admit it. I think even that they don't like to do. I think that it leaves them vulnerable. So they don't tell you the truth often, if not all the time. They don't tell you the truth on how they really feel. They're scared. If I tell you how I really feel, I'm an open book. You could hurt me even more. I'm telling you my vulnerability, you know. So a lot of narcissists won't tell you how they feel. They will lie. But another problem with narcissists is lack of awareness. So they aren't aware of how they feel a lot. They won't be aware of how they feel. You can see them slamming and yelling, and you say, why are you so angry? I'm not angry. Okay. What do you call that? Yeah, they're not aware of how they feel. My body's doing things, and feelings is awareness. Not very good at that. A lot of people not good at that, right? We know that. The military teaches it, right? So, can a narcissist admit how they feel? Sure. Do they? I don't think so. I don't think they're very aware of it, and I don't think they want to be vulnerable. Thanks. Sarah from Denmark. Hello, Sarah. Sarah always writes poems. Sarah's from Denmark and is always worried about the English translation of her poems. She always wants to make sure that that's said. But she wrote another short poem that's cute, and I like to read them. It's called When I Wait. When I wait for you, I am the bird in your cage. You become the hand that does not shut me out of your winter darkness. I am a silly little bird waiting for spring to come. That's good, Sarah. Thank you. That's after the discard, right? We sit and we wait for that person to enjoy whatever they're doing. Paula from Sweden. Hello, Paula. I wonder why the narcissist always seems to contact their exes, even though they said they don't even like them that much. Why do they always say one thing but show another? Confusing, huh? Well, they're confused, for one. They're extremely confused. So you've got somebody that only lives in a physical world and not in touch with the emotional world. They act like it's not important to them, but then they date people who do hold importance in that. They'll admire it and then say, oh, I don't care about it. How they feel is the same way, okay? Massive impulsivity, massive. Try to understand impulsivity. I say that a lot to you guys. If you understand emotional impulsivity or emotional imbalance and instability, you'll understand impulsivity. And also a fear of vulnerability. A fear of vulnerability. They can't be vulnerable. They're afraid that you will hurt them. Think of narcissists as saying to you, to people closest to them, I've been so hurt before, you will never hurt me again. Right? They never allow themselves to be vulnerable, open. That's why they don't apologize. If I hurt you and then acknowledge it and say, I'm sorry, you could hurt me, I'm open, I'm vulnerable. That's why they don't tell you the truth about how they feel or what they want. They manipulate you to get it. If I just ask for what I want, you could say no. I'll be vulnerable. You could hurt me. So that really is the gist of them. Fear of vulnerability, impulsivity. You understand these things, you'll understand your question. Why do they show one, or why do they say one thing and show another? And that's very, very important. I've said this for years now. What they say and what they do should match, guys, people. If they don't, they're manipulating you, or they're so lost and confused, right? So this person that you're referring to is probably highly manipulative and highly impulsive, right? Highly emotionally unstable, lots of emotions all the time. Oh, and I want to go back to, I just remembered someone's question about, which you, Irene, you're saying your narcissist admits how they feel. He says he is flat. And that could mean he's not aware of all the anxiety, of all the depression, of all the worries that he has in himself. He ignores what his body does. He's not in touch. Feelings is awareness, not aware. So many people, so many victims, I'll ask them, have you been experiencing anxiety? And they'll say, no. And I'll say, never. And they'll tell me about these horrific things they've experienced. And I'm like, my God, how could you not have anxiety? And I'll be like, you don't have any anxiety? And they're like, no. I'm like, none. And I'll say, have you ever? No. And I tell them what anxiety is. And they're like, oh yeah, I have that. I'm like, when? They're like, all the time. So you feel fine and great with anxiety? How's that? Well, besides anxiety, I feel great. No. No. Anxiety doesn't feel great and we don't ignore it. Period. So, he says he feels flat. If it's true, I would say he's more of a psychopath. So, back to... I hope I didn't get lost now. So Sherry from New York. I have a restraining order against my physically abusive ex. He was ordered to leave, but left belongings. 4 months of constant contact. He wants his stuff. I fear he will show up. And you said you have not shown police his messages, but he won't stop harassing you. What do I do? Pretty obvious, isn't it, Sherry, what you should do? Show the police his messages. That's why you wrote, I have not done it, but you know you should. You know, Sherry, this is more about emotional responsibility, what I was talking about earlier. So we feel a certain responsibility for other people. We see that somebody's ruining their life, and we're like, what are you doing? I'm going to go tell the police, and you're going to go to jail. And they just keep doing it. It's not your responsibility, Sherry. Look what your responsibility is to you. To you. To how he makes you feel. It's got to stop. This is abuse. It's got to stop. He can never abuse you again. Never allowed to abuse you again. It's got to stop. And he is responsible for his own actions, not you. If he wants to keep doing this, then he needs to go to jail. I'm sorry. I hate to say that, but he does. I've heard it's a great lesson. I heard it's a great learning tool. I haven't needed it, thank God, but I've heard some people it really changed their life. Really turned them around. Give it a shot. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry you're experiencing that. That's awful. What should you do with this stuff? You wrote things like, and I shortened up everyone's messages usually, but you wrote stuff like he only had 30 days to get his stuff and he didn't want it then, now he wants it, all this stuff. What else are you going to do, Sherry? I mean, you want to give him his stuff back? Go drop it off at a corner somewhere and tell him where it is. I don't know, but I wouldn't even, I mean, we've got to be responsible and accountable for our actions. If somebody, if I want to make bad choices every day for months, years, then I might have to pay for it. He's got to pay for it. Okay? Contact your lawyer. Ask him what you should do. For your own mental health, I would just get rid of his stuff. Toss it out. Start realizing that he's responsible, or should be, for what he does. And these are his choices and the way he lives. He needs to be, accountable for them. It's going to happen to him. You shouldn't suffer. It's got to stop. If he doesn't get it, oh well. Maybe he will in jail. I don't know. Maybe the courts will just threaten him and make him stop, But it's got to stop. Well, first things first. I'm sorry, but try to find the strength to show the messages. You'll be okay. Aggie Blue from the United States. Hello. Why did I wake up with anger and anxiety and thoughts of the narcissist when I have been feeling so comfortable and happy? Well, it sounds like you are beginning to allow yourself to feel again. If you want to be in an abusive relationship for a long time, or any time, with someone abusing you, then I doubt you're feeling it at all. You're saying, I don't like this. This feels bad. And you're not stopping it. You're not stopping them doing it, so you must be stopping how you feel. You're disconnecting from what your body's doing and being aware of it. You're saying, I don't want to be aware of it. My body's doing things, I'm trying to ignore it. It's really bad. I need to calm it down with some alcohol. I need to calm it down with some pills. I need to go have sex. I need to eat. I need to work all the time. That helps. That feels better if I don't go home and I just work all the time. No. You're allowing yourself to feel. So now all these old things are coming up. This tells me that you have lots of unresolved emotions. Okay? You've had bad experiences. Emotions are attached to them. And they'll stay open until you process them. Okay? You haven't processed them. You've ignored them. You have numbed them, neglected them, things like this. Now that you're away from bad, you're saying it's okay to feel again, and you're going to start feeling everything. The bad. Then you say, wait, I don't want to feel the bad. So then you'll start ignoring everything. Emotion, even though you have 34,000 different emotions, think of emotion as one thing. And if I ignore it, I ignore it. If I ignore depression by taking antidepressants, I can't experience joy. I ignore that. I'm suppressing that too. Okay? Hope that makes sense. We've got to deal with all the areas in our life, bad or good. We've got to. I tell my clients to write down every single bad feeling, bad thought, confusing thought, bad dream, nightmare, everything. This is how we face them. We can't ignore them. They don't go away. And the more we face them, the more we learn to, the easier it gets, and then there are no bad things. And it doesn't have to feel so bad. Hope that makes sense. Thanks. Josh. Don't know where you're from, Josh. Please leave your locations, guys. Thank you. Thank you so much for the service you provided, David. You're welcome. Thank you for telling me. You're welcome. I believe my ex of 8 years is borderline and has hoovered me back many times. Is it natural to feel guilty for cutting off all contact? There's the theme, huh? Emotional responsibility. If I hurt someone, I feel bad. I think that's good, right? I'll probably keep doing it if I didn't feel bad. Like narcissists, right? They don't feel bad about it. They keep doing it. That's good. It serves you. This doesn't serve you, does it? You've got to do this, but then you feel guilty. What are you supposed to do, right? Well, first things first. You got to do it. The more you do things for yourself and have at least okay outcomes, the more confidence you'll have in the future. This is really tough. It's really tough. I went even years after all my abuse was over, and I've been processing emotion and learning things and doing really well and stuff. And then it came time, and it could be years later, it came time for me to start getting rid of people in my life that were really bad to me. It could have been family or friends that I didn't talk to for a long time, and now here they are. They're back. It's been a few years, and they're back, and I realize how toxic they are. They're not going to change. I don't want them to. I just don't want to be around them. So I got to end the relationship, and I tell them, because that's appropriate, and I tell them it's over. and I'd feel really, God, am I doing the right thing? God, I feel bad for hurting the feelings. Maybe I shouldn't do it. Things like, no. Stay focused, right? The more times I did that, the easier it became. The more confident I had, the less doubt, okay? It always helps to do this with other people. It really does. I'm sorry you feel bad. Is it natural to feel guilty for cutting off all contact? I don't know about that word natural. It's definitely something that so many victims that do cut off people in their life feel guilty. It's about self-worth. I'm worth this. I'm worth getting rid of somebody out of my life that abuses me. Of course you are. Maybe you don't really feel that worthy of it, right? It's shame. Shame. Low self-worth. Maggie from Algeria, hello. You asked me to explain my questions, so you did. And I remember you said, how is the relationship between a narcissist and borderline? And I briefly explained it. The thing, how about this? Did you date a narcissist, right? So it was just like that, pretty much. But you're going to say, well, I'm not borderline. Yeah, but you kind of acted like one. Probably in that relationship. You're sick. You dated a disordered person. You were very ill. Trust me, lots of bad, ill, crazy behaviors. Lots of it. Lots of bad stuff. And lots of stuff you feel ashamed of and guilty about. That would be normal. You dated someone disordered and was abused, at least. You may have even abused them back. You may have threatened them. You may have left them and didn't tell them why and come back. You may have triangulated them. You may have cheated on them. You may have, who knows. But how is the relationship between a narcissist and a borderline? Probably like the one that you had with a narcissist. Very similar. Maybe if you were a borderline, maybe it would have been worse. I don't know. Maybe you, and I would have said more abuse, right? Meaning, instead of you just taking the abuse he gave you and staying home, maybe you would have left and abused him back. Counter abuse, right? So reactionary abuse. I don't know how else to say it. I mean, I think you really, really want me to dive into like the psychology of every little moment of scenarios and stuff. And it's just, they're sick, they're disordered, they don't want to be vulnerable, they lack awareness, so they point fingers at each other constantly and say, you're abusing me, you're abusing me. And then they don't ask for what they want, they threaten and manipulate and triangulate and discard and silent treatment and break up and come back and hoover and smear. They do it to each other. It's probably worse than someone that wouldn't be borderline. It would be worse if someone wasn't a narcissist. It would be worse in this scenario. More, you had one person is disordered, it's going to be bad. Both people are disordered, it's going to be worse. It's going to be sick. It's going to be gross. How is that going to be? That's what you really want to know? Like you're poking a stick at it? You want to know exactly what it's like? All I can guess is just more abuse. I keep saying that. Reaction, right? Reactionary abuse. How did you react? You did nothing? Okay, maybe a borderline would have reacted by abusing back. There's the difference. Okay? Hope that makes sense. Your second question is, I have read many professionals saying borderlines need to be responsible for their actions. How can someone with mental illness be responsible? They actually consider personality disorders a mental disorder. It's not like they're crazy. So how do you teach someone to be responsible for their actions? Or you said borderlines need to be responsible for their actions, and you said, how can they? You teach them. You teach them. And that's why some borderlines fix themselves. They go through therapy, cognitive therapy, okay? Your cognition, your cognitive skills. People with personality disorders, biggest problem is they lack awareness. So someone with borderline personality disorder lacks what's going on. They're not cognitively aware very well of what's going on. They will commonly think everybody's abusing them when they're not. I mean, all kinds of things they'll think are true and they're not. It's not happening. Perceived fear where it doesn't exist. Very, very common borderline trait, one of the 9. They perceive fear where it doesn't exist. I've had borderlines tell me, my so-and-so, my priest is abusing me. And I'll ask them, what did your priest do? And I'll be like, oh, actually your priest is just trying to tell you that they can't date you because they took a vow, an oath, they can never date another woman. You're taking it as rejection. It's not abuse. Was he nice about it? Did he call you names? No? Okay, well, look. Borderlines, they perceive fear where it doesn't exist. So they need massive therapy. And I say massive because they need massive. I've heard borderlines tell me, oh, I saw a therapist for a month, I'm fine. No, you're not. No, you're not. No, you're not. Not for a month of therapy. No, you need massive therapy, cognitive therapy, things like dialectical behavioral therapy. It makes you very aware of your behavior and your choices and what you're doing. You need to sharpen up your cognitive skills, meaning all the information you take in from all your senses. Borderlines are not good at that. They don't pick up on things that you do or say sometimes to them. You think they did, and they never did. These things are common with other disorders and problems that people have. Very common. Thank you. Jenny from Santa Fe, New Mexico. Finally, no contact after 10 years. Congratulations. Good for you. Jenny, I hope you keep it up. My family thinks I'm being too harsh and should have at least remained friends. They didn't know him really well. How can I make them understand? Well, Jenny, you can make them understand by telling them how you feel. That's all you need to do. Who cares what he did? Who cares about him? Who cares about his titles and his diagnosis and all this stuff, right? You tell your parents how it made you feel. And that should be enough. You know why you're having a hard time making them understand, Jenny? It's because they care about what you do, not how you feel. How do I know this? They told you. You're telling them how bad you feel, and they're saying, too bad, stay friends with him. Because I know the rest of your message is like, well, it's hard for them to believe that what I say was true, and they watched him, they think he's like this. Doesn't matter. I don't care who my daughter dates and what that person did. I care about how my daughter feels, period. That's what we're going to address. I cannot address this person or who they are or how they think or you should have a relationship with them or not. No. How do you feel? Bad? Uh-oh. Not good. Something needs to be done. Period. That's enough for me. My daughter feels bad. Enough for me. The problem, Jenny, the problem is you were probably emotionally neglected. Every single client I've ever had, every single person I've ever spoken with that has been emotionally abused in their adult life has been emotionally neglected in their childhood. And a ton of us don't even realize that, don't see it, don't know it. When I say that, a lot of people go, oh, I wasn't. I had everything I needed. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. Not if you have been in abusive relationships in your adult life. You did not have what you needed in your child life. I promise you, and I can point that out. Your parents are having a hard time understanding how you feel. I don't think it was that important to them when you were younger. That's why it's not important to them now. I'm sorry. Keep it real simple with them, Jenny. Keep it real simple. Even if they don't have empathy, they know what feeling bad is. They have sympathy. It's happened to them. They have felt bad before. You can just say, I felt bad. If they go, not good enough, you should be friends with him. Not good. Should give you some insight into your childhood and why you are dating someone because this person emotionally neglected you. They were not very aware or apparent or respected or supplied anything of your emotional needs. Didn't care. Didn't care how you felt. And now your parents don't understand. We date emotionally neglected people in our adulthood because we're emotionally neglected in our childhood. Where are we on time? Oh, geez. I'm about to get shut off. I will see you. You know what? I'm going to save this last question for the next one. Vanessa, I have your question. I'm going to save it for the next Q&A next Monday. Thank you, guys. Love yourself first. Always, always, always try and help me out if you can by engaging and interacting and voting and stuff like this, okay? I'm really trying to help people save their lives, okay? And make lives better. Thank you all. Love yourself first. I'll see you next Monday. Bye-bye.